You hear the word awareness thrown around all the time, right? But what does it actually mean to be truly deeply aware? Well, it's way more than just a popular buzzword. It's a fundamental state of being. And in this explainer, we're going to unpack what that really means, digging into the source material to get to the heart of its power.
So let me ask you something. Ever feel like you're just drifting? Like you're being pulled along by social expectations or the daily grind or just all these outside forces, and none of it feels like the real you? Yeah, it's a super common feeling. And that's exactly why understanding true awareness is so important. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll nail down what true awareness even is. Then we'll get into what our source calls the higher self connection. After that, we'll look at the huge difference between being aware and unaware and figure out how your inner voice actually talks to you. We'll tie it all together with a really cool analogy, the captain and the ship. And finally, we'll talk about the lifelong journey to mastering all of this.
Okay, let's dive right in. What are we really talking about when we say awareness? Because it's so much more than just, paying attention. According to our source material, it's really about unlocking your most authentic state of being. Here's the core definition from our source. Awareness is the state of truly being oneself. And this isn't some temporary feeling or a good mood. Nope. We're talking about a fundamental state where everything, your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, they're all in sync. It's the difference between just going through the motions and actually actively shaping a life that fulfills your unique potential and purpose. So, where does this authentic state come from? The source material points to one single critical link, our connection to what it calls the higher self, basically our inner spiritual core. And here's the kicker. This isn't just a vague idea. The sources say that your level of awareness is directly tied to how strong that connection is with your higher self. The stronger the link, the more aware you are. Simple as that. And this is a really fascinating point. You can't just think your way into being more aware. Intellectually saying, yeah, I have a soul, doesn't cut it. True knowing, according to the source, is a feeling. It's a deep, gut-level realization of that connection inside you. This brings us to a really stark contrast. The difference between living an aware life and an unaware one, well, it all comes down to one big question. Who or what is actually guiding you? This comparison says it all, doesn't it? On one side, you have the unaware state. You're being guided by what the source calls external control programs. Social media trends, what your boss expects, what everyone else is doing. You're basically on autopilot. But on the other side, in an aware state, the whole guidance system flips. You're not looking outside anymore, you're guided from within, by your higher self, your true purpose, and that deep inner feeling we just talked about.
Okay, so if this connection is so vital, how does it actually work? How does this higher self communicate with us in our everyday lives? Let's take a look at the channels of your inner voice.
The source material breaks it down into two main channels. First, there's a direct link, which we usually call intuition, and second, there's a deeper guidance system that helps us zero in on our life's purpose. Let's look at each one. So channel 1 is described as a personal vertical. Just picture a direct line of energy connecting you to your higher self, right through your body's chakras. And in its everyday passive state, that's what we call intuition. That gut feeling, that random great idea that pops into your head. The source says that's your higher self talking directly to you. Now, the second channel is really cool. This is how we realize our purpose. The info is apparently stored in a kind of crystal within the heart chakra. So when you're at a crossroads in life, your higher self lights it up, guiding you through powerful feelings. This is your inner compass, always pointing you towards your destiny. And that right there gives so much more weight to that old saying, follow your heart. According to this, that's not just a nice sentiment. It's literal, practical advice. Listen to the guidance system in your heart, because it knows the way. To tie all these concepts together, the source gives us this absolutely brilliant analogy, the captain and the ship. This is going to make everything we've talked about so far click into place. So I want you to imagine your life, your consciousness, as a ship sailing on a huge ocean. This simple picture is going to make everything crystal clear. Okay, so here's the breakdown. The ship, that's you, your earthly self, navigating life. The ocean's currents, those are all the external pressures, social expectations, trends, constantly trying to push you off course. Now, an unaware person is just drifting, totally at the mercy of those currents. But an aware person, they've reconnected the radio link to the captain. That's your intuition. And they're constantly checking the navigation map. That's your life's purpose. And the captain of the whole voyage? You guessed it. That's your higher self.
So once you've reconnected with the captain and you've got the map, the journey's over, right? Well, not quite. The final piece of the puzzle is understanding that this is a path to mastery. It's a lifelong journey.
And this is absolutely crucial. Just having that connection isn't the finish line. True awareness isn't passive. It's not enough to just hear the captain's orders. You have to act on them. You have to actually grab the wheel and steer the ship.
And listen, this path has its challenges. The source points out a few common ones. Some people get the connection, but they just become observers. They have all this insight, but never do anything with it. Others might be super aware in their career, but totally unaware in their relationships. Reaching what the source calls impeccability, total awareness in all parts of life, well, that's rare, and it takes constant, dedicated work on yourself. And that brings us to the final question, the one I want to leave you with. Looking at your own life, your own journey, is your ship on course? Have you turned on the radio to listen for your intuition? Are you looking at your inner map? Or are you just letting the ocean's currents decide where you end up? The answer, ultimately, lies in your connection to the captain.